So some of the basics about meditation, first of all, are why do we do it? And the whole thing about meditation is that it's a reflection of what's going on in our day, in our everyday life. So if somebody says, sit down on the floor and close your eyes and sit there for 30 minutes and don't say anything. For a lot of people that would be tough. It would be hard to do because it's something that we're not used to doing. Normally when we close our eyes, it's time to sleep. And oftentimes when we're trying to meditate, our eyes are closed and our body says, it's time to sleep now. So that can be a problem right off the bat for a lot of people. They're just getting drowsy, getting tired. So meditation we have to have energy. And we want to remind ourselves that when we're meditating, it's not necessarily a time for sleep. It's not a time for sleep at all. And it's not necessarily even a time for relaxing, which is kind of beyond popular belief because we want to have energy. And meditation is really a time for us to do some work on ourselves, and not work like this kind of work or anything like that, but work on noticing what is going on. So we're back at sitting on the floor with our eyes closed for 30 minutes. Somebody asks us to do that. And the first thing we notice is that we close our eyes and the mind starts thinking about stuff that we did earlier. Usually the stuff that we did earlier in the day, or maybe something that somebody said to us, or something that we said to somebody, or we might even be thinking about something we ate before we came here, or something that we saw on television, or something that happened at home. All sorts of things can happen, can come up in the mind. So those are all aspects of the past, things that have already happened. And how we think about these things. The other thing that can come up are things about the future. We might think about, maybe, I'm hungry, I can't wait till I'm done meditating so I can get something to eat. Or we might be thinking about what we're going to be doing later at night, tonight or maybe tomorrow. We might think about plans that we've made. We might even be thinking about something that we're going to be doing next week or next month or even next year. But what we want to be doing in meditation is being very, very present. And that means being in the present moment. Resting in this place between the past and the future, because when we can do that, we allow the mind to take a look at what is happening right now. We can actually look at the mind as being a type of distraction to us if we're thinking about the past and the future. That is, if we make the intention not to do that. And as a meditator, when we're trying to meditate, that is our intention, not to think about the past and the future. It's kind of difficult to do. It's kind of like asking you not to think about a pink elephant right now. I can almost see those thought bubbles on top of you with a pink elephant above everybody because I'm talking about a pink elephant. And it's kind of like that if we say, well, I'm not going to think about the past, and I'm not going to think about the future, I'm not going to think about the past, I'm not going to think about the future. The first thing that we do is oftentimes think about the past and the future. So what we want to do in meditation is focus on something that allows us to be in this presence where we're not thinking about these things. And that's what we call the meditation object. So we're focusing on something, and it's usually something that could be considered silly by many people's definition. And the best object that we can focus on is the breath. And the breath could be different for everybody. We might be focusing on just where we feel the breath coming in and out of the body. We might be focusing on the coolness of the breath, or even the warmth of the breath. We might be focusing and noticing the moisture or different places where we feel it. Do we feel it at the tip of the nose? Do we feel it in the windpipe? Do we feel it in the chest, or do we feel it in the movement of the abdomen, the stomach? All of these different things, but we want to be able to use that to such an extent that we can focus on that and not let the mind wander off. Because if we let the mind wander off, we're allowing the mind to do what it probably has done all day long. Just drift along, kind of daydreaming. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if we set the intention for it not to happen, and it does happen, then we have some work to do. We have some training of the mind to do, and that is what it's all about in meditation, that training. But again, it's not training like this, it's just observing, it's watching where the mind goes. So ideally, what we're doing is letting go of the past and letting go of the future. We're letting go of our feelings that are associated with the past and our feelings associated with the future. We're letting go of any emotions that we've created from something that has happened or something that might happen. And we're letting go of, hopefully letting go of the story of me and or in your case, you, and why your life is the way it is, these types of things. So we want to allow ourselves to really go on a little vacation while we're meditating. And that means we have to focus on our meditation object, which would be, again, the breath. It's the best meditation object we can use. Now, when we're meditating, we don't necessarily, we might see a lot of pictures of, images of statues of people meditating with their legs crossed like a lot of us have here. That's not absolutely necessary to do. We can sit in chairs like some of you are doing. We don't have to have our legs crossed. A lot of people prefer to do this because they feel more grounded, but it's not necessary that we have the legs crossed. We can sit in a chair. Some people stand. Some people even do some of their meditation while they're walking, and they're making repetitive motions. They're not necessarily hiking up and down a hill or anything like that. They're walking usually on a flat surface, but they're still working with the mind. They're training the mind. They're watching where the mind goes, and hopefully it's staying still. It's not going anywhere. So a big thing is our posture. We want to be comfortable. That's the main thing. And I'll talk a little bit about that as we meditate, but looks like most of you are comfortable. Does everybody feel comfortable? Okay. If you're not comfortable, there's plenty more cushions and things like that. You can grab more cushions if you like. And if you're used to sitting on the floor, it'll work out real well for you. If you're not, it can be a little bit uncomfortable after a while. Now, a little bit about the place where we want to meditate. Ideally, we have this room here that we meditate. There's very few sounds. The temperature isn't too bad. It'll get a little cooler in here as the cool air comes in from the air conditioning. And we're amongst friends. We don't have to be afraid of anything. There's nothing that's going to disturb us. And so the environment, the place that we're meditating, is pretty ideal right here. And we want to create that at home too, because we want to be able to meditate every day. It's very important to practice daily. And so we want to have a place at home to meditate. That means to have that little place in the corner or that favorite chair where you can go and close your eyes and not be disturbed, hopefully. That might be a place in your room, might be in a closet, might be in the backyard when it's not so hot out, perhaps. But you want to find a place where it's going to be quiet for you, where nobody's going to be bothering you, in your home. And that's where you want to do your practice. And your practice should be very similar to what we're going to be doing here in a few moments. Maybe not as long, but you might want to use a phone or a timer and set it for 10 or 15 minutes and sit in silence if you can. Because the silence is a teacher for us. Usually the best teachers that we've had are very quiet. They don't make a lot of noise while you're learning, and one of those is the silence. That is a part of meditation. How many of you enjoy silence? Okay, that's everybody, I think. Maybe a couple of you didn't raise your hand, but silence is very important. It is for me, especially when you get a lack of it. When there's a lot of noise going on, you start craving that silence. And when we learn to meditate, we can find that silence even when there's sound going on. We can learn to meditate while we're waiting in an office, or while we're waiting for the school bus or something like that. We can learn to meditate. And so basically, again, meditation is a reflection of what is happening in our everyday world. If we close our eyes and we have this busy mind, and these worries start happening, and this restlessness and our wanting to be someplace else happens, that's exactly what is going on in your mind outside of meditation. Meditation is just allowing us to see this. And sometimes it allows us to see things that we're very surprised to see. That this is our true nature. This is actually what's going on in our mind. Most people will say, not most people, but a lot of people come to me and say, what do you do? And I say, well, I am a meditation teacher. And they go, oh, I've tried meditation. It didn't work for me because my mind's too busy. And that's a snapshot of everybody's mind, especially when they first start meditating. They realize how busy their mind is, and that's probably what brought them into the interest of meditation in the first place. The busyness that is happening up here, or it seems like it's happening up here, but it's actually happening everywhere in the body. And when we get a chance to see that reflection of what is going on, that is something that we can get a chance to work with. And we can work with it in meditation. And meditation is just simply being aware of what is happening. We don't want to be judgmental about ourselves. We don't want to judge what's going on in our mind. We just want to observe it. It's very much like watching a cloud in the sky. It's not getting in our way, it's not bothering us, and it's not going to be there very long. And the clouds are a very good representation of our thoughts and our moods and our emotions. They're just something that passes by. We don't have to grasp onto them. We can't grasp onto a cloud and change it. We just see it, and after a while it's gone. It changes on its own. And that's how it is for every aspect of us. And these are small little lessons that we can learn from this. And it's from observing, it's from watching. And that is what is called mindfulness, being mindful of the activity. And not only the activity of the mind, but actually what is going on within the body as well. So if we're sitting and we're uncomfortable, because we've been sitting for too long perhaps, with our legs crossed, we notice a pain in the knee, we can just observe that. We don't even have to move it. We can just observe that and notice that it changes. All these things change. The discomfort changes. The pain in the knee changes. Our ideas, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, everything's constantly changing. And that's good, though. That's good, because otherwise it would be very agonizing, to have these things constantly going on for us. So we can eventually find a lot of peace, through the practice of meditation. if we do it consistently and if we keep observing what is going on. That observation is really the key. So we're going to do a meditation here. Is there a question?
No, just enough want to say hello to people who tuned in. Like you
okay.
You usually do that every week, so
okay,
so you don't feel left out.
I got a few names here. Yeah, the people online. This is streamed, and there's people all over. Terry Pfeiffer's watching us. Oh, she's here. Okay. John Hoffman, Edina Bakos, Nicole, John Gustafson, James Pollock, Mozinga. Hello, all of you. Those are the bold, daring ones that are chatting, and then there's most of the people are observing, and that's fine too. That's fine. So thank you everybody for watching us. So we will start, and like I said, I'll be guiding us through. If you're new to meditation, just listen to the guiding, and in the guiding will be instructions, and also it'll help you calm and help you relax a little bit. And then we'll be sitting in silence, and it's important to really take advantage of the silence. This is the opportunity to go a little bit deeper in our meditation. The silence is there for a reason. It's for us to get a chance to really, really watch and look and see what's going on within our minds and the body. With the body comfortable, please close the eyes. And bring your attention to the body and notice how it feels. When you notice the body, you might notice the temperature of the body or temperature of the air surrounding the body. You might notice any kind of movement of the air. You might notice how the body feels inside. We might notice any kind of body tension in the area of the muscles or tendons. And if you're new to meditation, I will remind you now that it's very common to be very subconscious about the body and whether you're sitting right, whether you're doing it correctly. And if your body's comfortable, and sometimes even marginally comfortable, you're doing it right. And if the posture you're in is a new posture for you, the way you're sitting, it's something that can be made very familiar with. The posture of the body, the more we do it, the more consistent we are as a meditator, the more familiar we are with the position. And it becomes a part of the meditation practice. So the body plays a very important part of the meditation, as well as the mind. But when we bring our attention to a meditation object, which, as I mentioned, is the breath, that is another aspect of the body. Notice the breathing, and don't try to change it or anything. Don't try to manipulate it in any way. Just notice the breathing as it comes into the body and as it leaves the body. So the breathing is what the body is doing to bring in the air and to release the air. And it happens all naturally. We don't have to be thinking about it in order for it to work. If we ever stop breathing, we would want to be concerned about it, but that very seldom happens. The subconscious mind allows us to breathe. And so if we observe the breathing, we somehow begin observing the breath. We notice the air as it moves and it touches the body. So the breathing is happening, and the breathing is pushing the breath and the air back and forth, in and out. And this is something that we very seldom think about during the day, if ever. But notice what the mind is doing while I'm pointing this out to you. The mind should be very, very present. This is what we're calling presence. You're focusing on something that is bringing you into the present moment. You're not worried about the past or the future. You're focusing on the breath or the breathing, and you're very present. And this is where we find our freedom, and where we can be free from any kind of suffering, any kind of pain that we have in our life. It's not that we're running away from anything or trying to change anything. We're just pointing out to ourselves that we can be free and we can be happy and fulfilled in this moment when we focus on the right thing, which is our intention to stay in this presence. So continue focusing on the breath. Notice the movement of the breath, or how it goes in and out of the body. Let's make the breath interesting. Notice the top of the inhalation, right before you exhale. Again, notice the top of the inhalation before you exhale, and how that comes up again and again and again. And now notice the bottom of the exhalation when you breathe out, right before you breathe in for your next air. You're breathing in, then you're breathing out. And right before you breathe in again, that's the bottom of the exhalation. Now we can notice that the top of the inhalation has a little bit more energy to it because there's energy coming into the body when we breathe in. See if you can notice that. When we focus on the top of the inhalation, there's more energy. Breathing in, we're breathing in prana or energy. Breathing in air, oxygen. And so if we get a little drowsy, we can bring our attention to the top of the inhalation, and that can even wake us up a little bit because there's energy behind it. And now when we breathe out, that's the more relaxing part of the breath, the bottom of the exhalation, before we breathe in again. And if we have any kind of tension, or if we're not relaxed mentally or physically, we can bring our attention to the bottom of the exhalation. Again, this is the most relaxing part of the breath. And when we focus on it, we can become relaxed just by focusing on that area of the breathing. And notice while we're doing this, we're still remaining present. We're focusing and concentrating on the breath. We're not worried about the past or the future. We're experiencing our true nature. And we should be very, very content with doing this practice. Now, using the bottom of the exhalation, we can use this as a tool to kind of relax the body. Notice if there's any tension or stress in the neck or the shoulders. And imagine that you're able to breathe through that tension with the bottom of the exhalation. See if this relaxes your shoulders or neck. If there's any kind of discomfort anywhere in the body, we can use the breath to really soften and relax these areas by using the bottom of the exhalation. Just imagine breathing through or breathing into these areas. Breathing relaxation into any discomfort. And now again, remember, if you're getting drowsy, you can change your focus to the top of the inhalation right before you exhale. Notice that this has more energy behind it. And this is all a type of anapanasati, or what is called mindfulness of breathing. Different ways to use the breath. And knowing and intending while we're doing this that we are remaining present. We're resting in the present moment, where there are no problems related to the past or the future. We're able to let go of any problems that we have or anything that we're hanging on to. We can temporarily just let go of it. Just like opening our hands and letting it all rest. Any kind of thoughts or any kind of feelings or ideas that we have, we can just notice them and let them go by. Just let them go. And come back to the breath and use the breath as our meditation object. And so we will sit in silence for the next 10 or 12 minutes. And I suggest you use the breath in the way that you have been using it, or focus on it in some way that it feels very connected with you and feels very soothing. If this practice seems boring, just remember it's supposed to be boring. And whatever comes up for you is some aspect of your mind, and it has a lesson behind it. And it's our job as meditators to learn these lessons. If the mind starts wandering, bring your attention back to the breath. Focus on some aspect of the breath, the top of the inhalation or the bottom of the inhalation. And try to make it a little interesting. Let's bring our palms together in front of us if you like. May each one of us and all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. May no harm come to us. May no difficulties come to us. May we all meet with spiritual and worldly success. And may we have the patience and the happiness that we all deserve in life. May we be safe, and may we live a life of happiness. Thank you. Thank you. It was a very nice meditation. It was very quiet. I appreciate the silence that everybody provided for everybody else. For you people that are new to meditation, was that easy for you? No. I was going to say, is it?
No hesitation.
Yeah, I was going to say, was that hard for you? But that would be encouraging you to say, yeah. But who thought that meditation was easy? I mean, everybody. Who thought it was easy? 2 people? 1, interesting. What made it hard?
I got tired.
Did it get tired? Okay, yeah, that happens. And that's why I addressed that. That's why I mentioned that it can happen. And that's also why I mentioned how we can use the breath. Did that work for you, for anybody to focus on top of the inhalation and kind of feel more energy? Yeah, it's something that really, it's very subtle, but it does work. And then in some strange situations where we have a lot of anxiety and we can't settle down, then we can focus on the bottom of the exhalation, and it works just the opposite. It calms us and relaxes us. And we can also use that to calm different aspects of the body, and using the breath in that way.